How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the basketball show. I'm going to take a look at the Knicks Celtics series before it starts tonight, and tell you what I think. Also, I'm going to give you comments from Stephen A. Smith and Perk. They were kind of opposite, but interesting. In interesting to hear. But let me just look at the statistics. This is the way I look at this series. In the beginning, I was thinking Knicks will lose this series in five. They might steal one game. Then I was maybe 6 games if they're lucky. But then I was looking deeper into statistics, not statistics between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics from the regular season, because we know the Celtics won 4 games, but whatever. It is what it is. Schedules are different. Teams are tired at certain times in the schedules, and some are more rested, or they had a day off before, or even 2 days, or whatever it might be. So I'm not looking at that, but I'm going to look at a couple of different things. And some of you know, some of you don't know. I've been a Knicks fan since 1990. Always. I've never switched. Always been a Knicks fan. Good years, bad years, whatever. But the way I'm looking at it is this: the New York Knicks had a record, as you know, 51-31. In offensive rating, they're fifth in the NBA. So they're a really good offensive team, but they struggle sometimes where they stop moving the ball, from what I saw. Then the defensive rating for the Knicks is 14th. So they're right in the middle of the pack. They're right in the middle of the pack on defense. Not that great. Maybe playoffs, they're a little bit better, as from what I saw when they were playing Detroit. But you got to remember, Detroit is not a great offensive team. So I think that made it a little bit easier for that Knick defense to be better at. But looking at it, I saw the Knicks struggle again when they stopped moving the basketball. I know Jalen Brunson is their main weapon. Sometimes he stops moving the basketball and scores, but sometimes the other players on the team kind of start watching and they get out of their rhythm in the game, and it's hard to get them going afterwards. So that's one of my observations from the first series in these playoffs against the Detroit Pistons, which the Knicks won in 6. So the Pistons gave them a little bit of trouble. Now, looking at the Pistons, we're still looking at the Knicks by looking at the Pistons. The Pistons' offensive rating is 16th in the NBA. 16th out of 30, so in the middle of the pack. And they gave the Knicks some trouble. They don't have as many offensive options as New York does, but they gave the Knicks some trouble. Their defensive rating is 11th, and Detroit was, in my opinion, they were pretty damn physical with the Knicks. The Detroit Pistons were pretty damn physical with the Knicks, and I'm looking at these ratings and looking at the Pistons. They're 16th in offense. The New York Knicks are 5th in offense. Okay, but the Knicks are 14th in defense. The Pistons are 11th in defense. So the Pistons are about the same in defense as the Knicks, maybe a little bit better, but they're much worse offensively, and the Knicks still struggled against them every single game. Every single game. Every game they struggled to win. It was tough to pull out to a couple point lead and then they'd lose it. Couple point lead, then they'd lose it. And, probably 5 out of those 6 games were like 1 or 2 or 3 points in the last minute or 30 seconds. It was very, very close. So the Knicks are a good team, but I don't know. For some reason, I just can't see them winning this series. Now, here is my reasoning for this. As we're looking at the Boston Celtics, okay? Boston Celtics, offensive rating, second in the NBA. Second in the NBA compared to 5th for the Knicks. So the Knicks are a really good offensive team, but the Boston Celtics are even better. And they have a lot more options scoring-wise. Porzingis can score. Tatum, superstar. Jaylen Brown, another superstar. And they got very good three-point shooters on that team to spread the floor. Very good. Now, in defense, they're 5th. So if you're looking at Boston Celtics, they're better in offense than the Knicks. And then looking at defense, they're much better than the Detroit Pistons are on defense with better players. And they got some big men in there. And we know Isaiah Stewart on Detroit wasn't even playing. But when you look at the defensive rating, which is fifth, they're going to give the Knicks more trouble defensively than the Detroit Pistons did. They're bigger, longer, younger. Drew Holiday is going to be on Brunson. And to tell you the truth, Drew Holiday is a great defender, but I think it's a better matchup for Brunson. Because with Detroit, I don't remember the guy's name, Thompson, I think. The guy that was defending him on that last play, the three-pointer that Brunson made to win the series, he's much taller than Brunson. I don't think Drew Holiday is that tall. Or at least that much of a difference. But the Celtics are better offensively. By 3 positions. They're second, Knicks are fifth, and they're much better defensively. Now, the Celtics already lost one game in the playoffs. They lost it to Orlando Magic. And when you look at the Orlando Magic, I think was able to steal that game from Boston. They're second in defense, all league this season. They're the second team defensively. So the Orlando Magic are a great defensive team. But their offense failed them. Offensively, they're 27th in the NBA, the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic is 27th in the NBA offensive rating and second in the NBA on the defensive rating. So almost two opposites. They're really shitty on offense, but they're really good on defense. And when you look at the Knicks are really good on offense, 5th, and then on defense, they're mediocre, 14th. This is all from the regular season, of course, but still, looking at all this and the way the Orlando Magic has played and the ratings that they have, and they were able to steal one from Boston, looking at that and comparing it, the Knicks, I'm going to predict the Knicks losing this series in 6 games still. Maybe they'll take it to 7, but game 7 in Boston. So I don't know. Very low percentage for me. If you look at the Knicks to even give them a chance of winning this series, the Knicks are going to lose this series. This is my direct prediction. The Knicks are going to lose this series in either 6 or 7 games, but they're going to lose. And I'm a diehard New York Knicks fan, but I'm trying to look at it logically from all these statistics that I just gave you, and I just don't see them winning. I just don't. Unless they really change their game completely from what they did over Detroit. I mean, Cat was great some games. Cat was crappy some games. He wasn't really active offensively in a couple of them. The good thing with Cat is he might have a little bit more room in this series to do some damage from mid-range and three-point range. Possibility. But I can't really be 100% sure of that. So that's my outlook. That is my prediction. Unfortunately, even after 35 years of watching the Knicks and being a solid Knicks fan, never switching, unfortunately, I can't see the Knicks winning this series. My logic is telling me Knicks lose in 6 or 7. That's all I can say. If they win this series, I'm going to be super duper happy, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately. So let me know what you guys think. Knicks fans watching this, I'm just trying to present my view, my opinion, and let's see what happens. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So let's go from there. I'm going to show you the Stephen A. Smith clip and Perk as well. So here you go.
It's a few things. Number one, Tom Thibodeau is on the hot seat. He's on the clock. Yeah. He's on the clock. This better go to 7 games. I believe it will. I got Boston picked to win the 7, but I think the Knicks will push them to 7, and the Knicks actually got a shot to win this series. I think the physicality of the Detroit series helped them to prepare for this series. When you talk about Asua Thompson and the pressure and the defense that he was trying to put on Jalen Brunson, I think that got Brunson ready. Although he couldn't even stop Jalen Brunson, still he averaged 32, 34 in that series. 31, excuse me. Here's the thing when I look at the Knicks. The most important player in this series is Karl Anthony Towns. It's Karl Anthony Towns. The inconsistency that we saw in that last series against Detroit, they can't have that out of him. He had 2 games where he had 10 points. He was guarded by Tobias Harris majority of the series. Even his best 2 games were 22 points and 10 rebounds average. That can't happen. Saw him do it last year when he outplayed Jokic in the semifinals in the West, right? Defensively. At some point, Tom Thibodeau is going to have to challenge him. And I'm glad Wendy left this open for me. If Tom Thibodeau start this game tonight and I'm watching Karl Anthony Towns be in that drop coverage, I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream. It doesn't work against the Celtics. And you talk about Tatum and what he averaged against the Knicks. He averaged 34. You know why? Because they just bring Karl Anthony Towns up in the pick and roll, and Tatum just picks his poison. He either come off the screen for a pull-up 3, or he's attacking Karl Anthony Towns downhill. And no one can sit up here and tell me that Karl Anthony Towns can't guard the perimeter. Challenge him. I just watched Alfred Şengün and Steven Adams do an outstanding job on pick and rolls on Steph Curry. Karl Anthony Towns on both ends of the floor has to show up and show out. And with help of Tom Thibodeau, putting him in position to do that. And Swagoo, the last thing, Stephen A., and I'm done. I'm glad you brought this point up. One of the best duos in the game, pick and roll duos this season, was Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. We need to see more of that in this series. Not isolation, pick and roll, pick and pop, pick and roll, more pick and roll, pick and pops.
Well, what I was going to say earlier
Towns, not Cat Williams, like I said.
Right, that's right. Yeah, but what I was going to do, I don't blame you for bringing up.
I like the Celtics chance against
anytime
Cat
you
Williams.
say Cat Williams is the first thing that comes up. But what I was going to say to you, Big Perk, before you so rudely interrupted, that you were under pressure to be astute, you and Swagoo today, because of those beards. When we think about a beard, we think about James Harden. So when you rocking the beard the way that y'all do, y'all got to make sure that y'all analysis is more astute than this damn game. That's number one. Number 2, Karl Anthony Towns. I'm just being real. Number 2, Karl Anthony Towns. I will say this. He's shooting 53% and 64% from 3 this season against the Boston Celtics, albeit in all 4 losses. So he has to continue to do that, but he has to be more aggressive and assertive offensively, and Tibbs is going to have to position him to do just that. All right, in terms of sliding those puppies, the brother wears size 21 shoe. He got bad feet, man. I don't know if he can do it, but I'm hopeful. Mikal Bridges, shooting 32% from 3, 43% from the field. He'll need to do better than that against Boston in this series, okay? So I'm looking at it from that standpoint. OG Anunoby, we know how pivotal he is. We know how big time he can be. In the 4 losses to Boston this year, the brother only averaged 9 points on 30% shooting and 13% from 3-point range. That's unacceptable. We all know it's all hands on deck with Boston, okay? And so to answer the question directly, I'm going to be proud of the Knicks if they push this to 6. So since I got them losing in 5, as much as I'm rooting for them and I'm praying that they make me out a liar, if I'm just being neutral in terms of objective rather, I got them losing this in 5 games, which means they're closer to a sweep than a 7-game series.